Hi there! Welcome to another episode of Eccentric Chai, the podcast for artistic misfits, wayward explorers, and the creatively weird. I'm your host, Lena Forrester. This podcast episode might be a little bit different than, it is different than my other episodes because it is going to be in conjunction with a video that I posted on YouTube. So you can listen to the podcast and get exactly what I'm trying to say. The only thing that is toward the end, I will reference a painting that I have been working on, and that will be the painting that I was working on in the video. Because this podcast is a sister project to my blog, also called Eccentric Chai, this is also almost a direct reading of my most recent blog article called Experimental Mode. And so if you'd like to just read it instead, you can head on over to my blog, or if you'd rather just listen to it in the car, like on the way to work, go ahead and keep listening. And if you would really rather watch this episode, you can head on over to my YouTube. The link is in the show notes, directly to the channel, directly to the actual video of which I'm talking about. So I hope you enjoy whichever avenue you choose to take. I have been not feeling too well lately. I'm not sure what's going on. Since Friday, I cannot get moving, and I'm run down. My head feels like it's 1,000 pounds, even though I'm not congested. I just feel icky. I feel like I'm fighting something off. And I've taken a COVID test. It was negative. So my next guess is probably the flu. I did get my shot, which would be probably why it hasn't knocked me on my ass. It's just kind of made me extremely tired and just heavy and mild headachy, that kind of thing. I'm just not feeling very well. And so things have been slow going. I don't know if you follow me on Instagram, but you'll have seen that I was talking about a video that I was going to be posting on YouTube. And as I'm recording this, it is actually Monday. And I really wanted it to be going live on Friday. But as you can hear, I am only just recording this on Monday because I've just been so icky. And I have a very small burst of energy right now, and it's already starting to fade. I can feel it leaving, so I'm going to have to go and lie down and maybe have some coffee here soon. But I figured, well, I have this burst of energy. I will read this blog article that goes with this video that I've posted to YouTube, and also post it to my podcast friends in case you'd rather just listen to it. I've been on YouTube for a while. I haven't posted a video in a while, so I feel like maybe since it's the new year, I could definitely get into that and start posting more vlog type things. So that's where I'm at right now. You might also be mad at me because I was doing a podcast episode every other week. And if you want me to be entirely honest with you, I kind of ran out of ideas. And I don't want to post something just for the sake of posting, because I really want to post good quality episodes on here. I don't want to just sit here and be babbling on like I am right now. I want you guys to actually have something that you can learn from, that you can enjoy, that you can relate to, that sort of thing. Something that maybe you can take away from the episode and apply it to your own life or your own creative practice, whatever. So I actually did record an episode 2 weeks ago, and I chose not to post it because it was kind of more of the same things that I'd already been saying over and over again. And so I took a small break and was just kind of letting it leave my thoughts for a while to see if maybe something would come up. And then that YouTube idea came up, and I thought, well, that's a really good idea because I am a visual person, and I feel like adding a visual to my podcast episodes might actually help give me more ideas at this point. So the rest of this episode is just me reading my recent blog article. It's not word for word, but it's me animatedly reading my last blog article, but If you, like I said in the introduction, if you just want to read it, it's over on my blog, which is in the links in the show notes. Or if you'd rather watch the video, the link is also in my show notes. So head on over to those two options if you'd rather do those instead. Otherwise, sit back and I hope you enjoy. I have been in full experiment mode lately. And what this means basically is I have been trying a ton of new things, and not only just new things, but old things, old tricks that I've learned. I've just been filling all of my sketchbooks with, oh, let me see what this does, and what what happens if I do this, and scribbling without an end game. It sounds fun, and most of the time it is, but it's not always welcomed by my conscious thoughts. Most of the time, whenever I have start this kind of whenever mostly because when I'm experimenting, my work is all over the place, and I think that's going to be true for anybody in the creative world. But when you're experimenting, me especially, my work is all over the place, and I start asking myself all of these questions like, what kind of artist am I? And oh, is this the kind of artist I want to be? Or would this even hang in a gallery? Or is my style shifting? Do I even have a style? Can I call myself a professional? Or am I just a hobbyist splashing around? A hobbyist who needs to get a real job. And it's hard sometimes to shut that voice up, especially when I'm still taking in all these outside influences like reliable podcasts and beautifully cohesive portfolios and these flawless Instagram reels. I'm reminded that I haven't been able to record a podcast in weeks, that I've been too indecisive to create an updated and well-balanced, cohesive, uh, beautifully, just beautifully put together portfolio, that I still need to sell an art piece before I can buy that new device I need for recording better reels. There's a lot of things that I need right now. Paint, a better recording tripod, a few things. I even need a laptop, and I'm just waiting because it's February and sales slow way down after Christmas. So I'm just waiting patiently for when things pick back up so that I can start to get the things that I need again. And I think to myself, if I'm going to pull a quote right out of my brain, it's, oh, wow, check out that gorgeous studio with all the warm natural lighting and the organized supplies. My basement dungeon office looks like a disaster from a December event, and I need to clean it, and I need to organize, and I need to organize my whole house, and I need to start bookkeeping, and I need to do XYZ, yada yada, bapanada. And I'm being open and honest here because this is the kind of thing I want to hear when I'm feeling this way. I want to know other artists go through this. I want to know artists go through the same crap I do and that it's not just me. So I'm here to tell you it is not just you. When it gets like this, it's important to remind ourselves of the why. What is your why? Why do you create? What drew you to this career in the first place? Why do I, Lena Forrester, why do I scribble? Well, usually if you ask this question, a lot of times you might start to overthink it, but just kind of go with the first thing that comes to mind. Pretend like you're being interviewed by the newspaper. Why do you scribble, Lena Forrester? And I say, because as a visual person, art allows me to see my feelings and thoughts and translate what's going on in my head better than any journal or long talk with a counselor, both of which I also do. But seeing my thoughts visually is way more helpful to me than the talking and the writing. Art also allows me to get close with things that I love, like nature and textures and interesting colors. I love textures, especially natural patterns. I love stones and rocks and karst topography and caves. I love colors and rainbows and sparkly things and gold and pink and peach and yay, I like those colors, turquoise. It's just every everything is just fun whenever it becomes an art related thing. And another reason why I create is because adult ADHD is a thing, and my brain gets very loud and cluttered, and scribbling helps me untangle the nest of wires in my head. And that is, I feel like, a pretty good metaphor because your head is basically a bunch of wires, and they get crossed sometimes. They get jumbled. They just become a big ball, a big natted ball of wires, like a big knot. And scribbling kind of untangles that for me. It kind of puts things into perspective, or not necessarily puts things into perspective, but it reorganizes it for me. It's interesting. And also, finally, last but not least, why do I create? Because it is so much fun. And then so let's, going back to the experimental mode, this often brings me back to that fun mentality. It puts me in that very basic core mood that drove me to pick up a paintbrush in the first place. Play is the foundation on which I can build the rest of my why and turn it into a career. Plus, I learned from experimenting. We all learn from experimenting. Just this week, I learned you could add coffee grounds to watercolor puddles to create discoloration and these interesting freckles and what? Oh, I'm so excited. I always love learning new things. I thought I had learned all I could with the experiments of watercolor, but there's just always something new that pops up and you're thinking, holy crap, I am totally going to try this. Because of experimental mode, I was also able to take all of my recent watercolor experiments to a class of teens. So I teach some teens once a week, and they got to try the techniques themselves. And the look on some of their faces when they let one color melt into another just reminded me of why I do what I do, why I love teaching others how to have fun with art. I know that it's important to start putting together a new body of work. Yeah, sure. Especially, and sooner than later, obviously, because the year is already going and it's going quick. And I already have events set up and I have events on the way, and I need to start getting that together. But it appears that for now, experimental mode is here to stay. Part of me is thankful for that because it gives me a sense of bravery I don't usually have whenever I'm trying to work on actual gallery wall worthy works. That means I can work large and I don't care about whether or not I ruin a good canvas or a sheet of paper, because right now it's all about the process. Right now it's about the fun of creating. And so that is probably when I should try to go large, because I've been really trying to get into larger format art, and it's been hard because it takes a different kind of bravery to work large. And so when I'm in this experimental mode, it probably is a great idea to go for it. Go for that large, get that large canvas and just go crazy. And experimental mode also means discovering new artistic inventions. And, how could anybody's inner critic argue with that? In artistic inventions is just when you just discover something new that you didn't realize before, that you didn't realize would happen if you did this. It's exciting, it's fun, and you're thinking, yes, I'm going to use this now for like the next 20 pieces of mine. Anyway, this piece that I'm scribbling and painting and experimenting with here was for Wordless Wednesday. And in it, I put as many recent experiments as I could into one piece. So I did add those coffee sprinkles. I got down some imitation gold leaf. I played with all different kinds of salt, which I already knew how to do that. But it was nice to return to that because it'd been a while since I've done that. And it had been a while since I'd painted with watercolor in general. So it was really nice to get back to some of that. And I'm very happy with the results. The piece is everything I like to tick off in a finished piece, which is scribbles, nature elements, human elephants, human elements. Playfulness, sophistication, and visible brushstrokes. Plus, I know when it's a gallery worthy piece because it will often develop a meaning before the end. And this piece did do that, which started to tell me, when it starts to tell me its story, I start to understand the piece, I'm able to translate it. That's how I know when it's a finished piece that I could submit to a gallery as opposed to just a sketch. And this particular piece is about the balance between that natural world and the human-made world. See, if you could see, there's like a city amongst the nature shapes. It's about the growth of both the natural world and the man-made world, and the necessity of not only coexisting with nature but forming a symbiotic relationship with it, because we are not separate from nature. We are nature. But what's interesting is that nature can live just fine without humans, but humans can't live without nature. So it's important to weave those threads, those two distinct threads together, and maybe we can make some sort of metaphorical tapestry of the balance between man and nature. This piece is for sale because it gave me a story, and it is now on my shop. I will put the link in the notes of the video so that you could see. And if you are having any trouble with your own mental inner critic nonsense, or you just feel overwhelmed, just remember, just go back to that basic why. Why are you doing this instead of getting a job? Why did you choose to just struggle? I mean, running your own business is tough, and nobody chooses this unless there's something about it that makes it part of your identity. There's something about what it does for you that makes all of the struggles, all of the inner turmoil, makes it all worth it. So find that why, return to it, and maybe for a week or so, immerse yourself in that why. Instead of trying to work, I need to be playing, because I need to return to that play mentality so that I can go back to work. If you don't return to that why every once in a while, I think that's one of the reasons that we end up with burnout, is because we kind of forget why we're doing this and we lose our passion. And the same thing happens to my Sims on the game Sims. If you've played that, the same thing happens to them when you have the going to work expansion. They, after a week or so of working, they'll start to wonder what it is about this job that they loved so much, because they can't remember anymore. And so you have to have them regain their passion for what they are doing for a living in order for them to be able to continue on without getting depressed or angry. They can, I mean, it's very, very similar to what some of us go through. So maybe all of us go through when something like this happens. So just remember, get back to your why. And until next time, may your experiments be fruitful and your inner critic just shut up already. And that is it, everyone. I hope you enjoyed. If you are interested in the piece that I painted in this episode on the YouTube channel, you can go to my website, lenaforrester.com, and it is actually right there in my shop, and it is ready and waiting for its forever wall. So go ahead and check that out if you are interested. So I have to thank a few people and places here. I have to thank Onda Norte for the music for this podcast. I have to thank Epidemic Sound for providing the music, and I have to also thank Franz for the music. And I am also thanking you for being here, for supporting me, for either watching or reading or listening, or even going on my Instagram or my Facebook or any of my classes. You guys are so awesome. You're so supportive, and you definitely help keep me going. Even on my dark days, I can definitely see myself pulling through this because of you guys. So thank you so very much, and Thank you for joining me.